What's going on, everybody? I'm going live here once again. Just wanted to check in with everybody. Hope y'all can see me. And I came across this article talking about when death is near and certain signs. What was interesting about this one, they were talking about it's in the nose. The nose can let you know when you're about to make that transition to the other side. It was saying. So it was real interesting. It's a new study. Science just came up with it. You never know. Next time they may come with something else on how we're going to be able to tell when we're about to die. So you just never know. But this one is about the nose. And I'm checking the article out now. And it says human body knows when death is near. And it starts in your nose. And it talks about how everybody always wants to know when we'll pass away and how we'll know when it's coming and, what happens after. And so now some scientists they saying that now in your nose through your sense of smell, it begins to tell you that's one way of us knowing when we're about to die. So that was interesting. So I'm just going through the slides on it and go into some type of history where the ancestors had different beliefs about what happens when we die, but they couldn't figure it out. But science believes they've answered the question. And they saying our sense of smell can let us know when we're about to die and warn us when we're heading towards death's door. So it's all in your sense of smell, they're saying. So I'm going more into it. Uh, they published something back in what's called the Frontiers Journal back in 2015. And they say our bodies give off an odor, a certain type of smell moments before we die. And people around you can actually smell. It'll be, I guess, a specific odor. I've never been around someone right when they're about to die to actually, smell them, whatever the case may be. And so it's saying researchers used to wonder if, like other animals, humans release a sort of a sub type of smell when around us when we're about to pass away. And I don't know if we can smell it ourselves or if it's just people around you or even what it smells like. So I'm continuing on. So it's saying it's a study. It was done by two doctors from the University of Kent and Arkansas Tech University. They said when animals die, they release a smell that doesn't smell too good, and then it kind of lets the people around them know to avoid the area, avoid the animal, because they're about to pass away. And then they said our human bodies release the same type of smell. They saying it doesn't smell good, and it's called putrescine, or how do you say this? Putrescine, and it's an evolutionary warning to other humans that danger could be nearby. There's some type of smell that we actually give off this sand. So I'm keep going on. And then it says a lot of animals release a nasty smell before dying. They saying the smell that us human beings give off is more subtle, so it doesn't smell as bad. And then they said some humans can't even smell it at all. So even with someone about to pass away, you don't they don't give off any type of indicators, even with the smell. They're giving off the smell, but the humans around them, they said, can hardly ever smell it. And so they're saying the reason for that is that our sensitivity to things has gotten worse over time since we don't hunt to gather food to survive anymore. You just go to the grocery store, cook it, buy it, whatever. And so your nose, it doesn't have to be as strong like it did hundreds of years ago because we're not out here killing food and bringing it back home. And they're saying we can still smell the same odors as our ancestors, but we're not always aware of what we're smelling. And in this day and age, because so much has changed with technology and time. So let me keep going. Let's say some other things to support this lies with dogs and cats. And they say that dogs and cats can detect chemical changes in people when they, got a medical condition, just with their noses alone. And they say humans, in fact, release certain odors when we're sick or we're dying, but we're not able to detect the smell as good as, cats and dogs. And that makes sense. Let me go to the next slide. And then it goes into animals being able to predict death. It hasn't been scientifically proven, but a lot of people who work in hospice, where they send people to go when there's not enough they can do for them, in certain senior citizen homes, they're convinced that animals can predict death. I've heard about this as well, where cats will go sit at the foot of the bed of the person, a man or woman, because they know death is coming. And so that's usually a sign. And this is saying here, and they're saying cats who live at home and they can predict what patients will die just by visiting them just moments before they go. They can sense it. And I've heard that before. More so with cats than dogs. Dogs can I know they can predict it too, but it's always the cat sitting at the bed. They go sit with the person before they go to the other side. So if anybody out there, pet owner, you got cats, whatever the case may be, keep an eye on them and keep an eye on yourself. And then it says here, your sense of smell is going back to can tell you when you're going to die. Some scientists are working to prove that humans may be able to smell death on their loved ones if they're sensitive enough to the scent that our bodies give off when we're about to go to the other side. But then they say other scientists are focusing on something different with the whole nose death connection. And they're arguing that your sense of smell is the first sign that death is near. And then also by paying attention to your own sense of smell, you may be able to actually predict when you're going to die. I don't know if it's all the way down to the date and the time, but just when it's near for, since we all have to go that way one day. And they're saying losing your sense of smell can be a sign of a lot of illnesses. So be watchful of that. If you're not smelling things the way you used to, you can't smell baked goodies or, cake, just anything, be aware of that. Your smell starts to go. Don't just throw it off and just say, okay, maybe my nose is stuffy. Really make sure you're able to smell. Otherwise, it could be signs of something else going on with your body. And so, this is saying some of the issues could be respiratory, cardiovascular, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and many other diseases if you're not able to smell. So, pay attention to your nose. And scientists believe, because people lose their sense of smell before diseases start to come in, certain symptoms, when you start to notice it, they're saying you need to watch for these changes. Um, and it's something called the olfactory system, and that can alert doctors if a person is sick or possibly dying long before the other symptoms show themselves. Let me keep it moving. But they say they're still doing more research to connect nose and deaf and put those two to where we know, okay, through your sense of smell, you know, you're on your way to the other side. And so they said it's still not enough to prove yet that humans release a particular scent before they die that's causing you to lose your sense of smell, which means death is coming. They're still researching. And they said before they can confirm it, because it's just a theory right now. But several teams are already working to do that. So I just thought this was interesting about the nose being able to tell you when you're going to die, and just really pay attention to, your sense of smell and what's going on around you. And so they're saying this type of research can save a lot of lives, millions of lives, if scientists can find enough evidence to validate these theories about death and smell being connected. And then, they said many deadly diseases can be prevented before the symptoms set in. So if a patient contacts their doctor and they lose or notice a decrease in the sense of smell, the doctor can run the test and find out what's wrong and then get the right treatment before the illness takes over the body. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're noticing that things just don't give off a smell at all, definitely let your doctor know. Then, you can save your life or save someone else's life. And then it also says if doctors can prove that humans can smell death, if we can smell death just before one passes away, it still, won't stop the grief and the pain that people feel, when, that physical separation from a person. And, I understand that. regardless if you knowing is not much you can do after you do smell that smell. It's not that long. You can't really spend no time with the person like that. So it's not like knowing a year in advance. That would be great too, but we don't get a year's notice of when we're about to breathe our last breath. Then they said until we can find out exactly what happens after we die, people will continue to, grieve death, possibly be scared of it when it comes to friends and family, and wonder where they've gone. Now, I did a video about this before. There's people who have went to the other side and came back. I believe them, and they describe it, as a warm and loving place. So we do have people who have went, but I don't think the majority of the public actually believe these people who say they've gone and come back. I believe, but to each their own. Just to get over our fears of what's on the other side. There's definitely something else over there, and so that's the last slide on it. And yeah, the grief is going to be there. And, people, the sadness, the physical separation, but it's definitely something else on that other side. And again, pay attention to your nose. This is the latest study. If you're smelling something that seems funny or you're just not smelling at all, let your doctor know. Make sure you can smell everything, whatever it is. That sense of smell, that's one of our major senses. Uh, Definitely keep that one in mind and don't ignore it if you are out there and you just can't smell nothing the way you should be able to smell it. That's not saying that you're necessarily about to die soon, right then and there, but it definitely could be things coming in into play that could kill you if you don't, pay attention and see why you no longer have that sense of smell. So I just thought it was interesting to be able to use your nose, and they doing that type of study where using your nose can see if you're close to death or if you smell something funny around, your loved ones, your friends, your family. Keep all of that, in mind, and don't be afraid to speak on it, and just if that time is near, if something is funny, pay attention to the nose. So that's the latest in terms of predicting death. Of course, they brought in the animals, the cats sitting at the foot of the bed, that. But hey, just add the nose, something else to add to it, and we'll see as more research goes on if they come up with another way, which they probably will, in terms of how we can sense, when death is coming, what's on the horizon for us, things to look for, you know, if it's preventable, you know, it's your time, it's your time. But, being able to smell it, it definitely helps. This is different. And, like I say, I don't know exactly what the smell actually is. They say it don't smell as bad as other animals when they pass away, like something out there in the wildlife. But yeah, it was just an interesting article. It's on MSN.com if anybody wants to check it out. And the title is The Human Body Knows When Death is Near and It Begins in the Nose. For anyone that wants to do some more research on it, check it out. You know, uh, definitely do that. And definitely a conversation piece you share with your friends and family. It'll definitely get people talking, I think, and just different ways. Anybody who's maybe smelled this smell, anybody who's listening, obviously we all don't have people pass away. Have you actually been around them at that time? And if you smelled something, let me know in the comments. Feel free to share and see exactly you know, what's going on with anybody out there in their personal experiences, and if you done, you know, someone's giving off a smell. I don't know if you've been someone's caregiver of a certain family member, where you've been around them a lot and you actually was around them when they passed away on the other side. Did you smell something, different, something funny when your loved one went to the other side? So, yeah, definitely let me know in the comments if anyone's went through that. Again, I haven't. Even when my dad passed away, he was there on his own. I wasn't at home with him to be able to get some type of smell or whatever the case may be. We found him after the fact. So now he's on the other side right now too. So yeah, it's just being able. I guess it can come in handy. You're married, and you're sleeping next to your wife or your husband, and you smell something. They've already been sick, maybe. So yeah, definitely keep all of that in mind. Don't let any type of smell just be just. If it's something that you haven't smelled before and it's around a person, it's definitely something to check into and make sure what it could be, and whatever the smell that's coming from the your nose, whether it be your own smell or someone around you. Pay attention to any odors you're giving off too, because could be something else wrong with you on a deeper level as far as your physical health. So keep all of that in check, and just be mindful. I think the article was great in terms of what it went through, the different signs of death. And it's the latest research. It'll be something else, I'm sure, at one point. But I make sure to keep my smell intact. And particularly these ginger snaps, these are good. I can smell it, so it's working. So I'm not worried about my sense of smell at this point. And yeah, just all the other different signs of people passing away. And I just thought this was interesting about the nose and how that can lead us to when death is near. So that is just one other way of finding out things. So these articles, they reveal a lot. Sometimes people just pass over them. Get a lot of good information. And so those might be able to tell you when you're going to pass away. Death is in the nose. So everybody keep that in mind. But until then, until the next video, and there will be more coming this week. This one, I wasn't even going to do at first about the deaf and the nose, but I was checking my email when I signed out. It took me back to the MSN.com. That was one of the articles that they had up there. And I'm like, let me talk about if the nose can sense when death is near. So just wanted to throw that out there and let everybody know. And again, like, share, and subscribe. Tell me about your experiences with death, and in the comments with your loved ones, friends, family. Maybe you smelled something that you can remember. Let me know. Until the next time, I am out. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.